Hello, hello, everybody. It's Sonia here with Fresh Approach Fitness, a wellness company, coming to you on September 21st, 2020, and this is episode number 25. I'm going to start today's episode off with a little bit of a story. I was wearing a white shirt this morning as I was running around getting some errands done with my dad. He was coming to help me with them because I needed to drop off a vehicle, right? So I pour my coffee into a to-go mug, and I'm driving out to meet my dad so I could drop off the vehicle. I have a sip of coffee all over my white shirt. Guess what happened? Coffee everywhere. Now, here's the thing is I had thought twice before I left the house because normally if I have an errand to run in the morning, I just leave my coffee there and then I heat it up when I get back. I really don't care. It doesn't taste any different to me, but I'm thinking, it is so good and it's piping hot and it's just so fresh and tasty. I'm just going to bring it with me and then savor the sips as I'm, waiting for my dad or maybe at a stoplight. No, one sip all over me. Can you believe that? I want to say what a way to start a Monday, but it can happen any day and it's not going to impact my day. I'm lucky that I work from home because I have my white shirt in the wash trying to get the stain off. But how many of you have days like that where it's not that nothing goes right, it's one little mishap could shift the alignment of the day, depending on how you look at it. Yes, I could have burnt myself. Yes, I could ruin the shirt. Yes, something worse could have happened. But at the end of the day, it's not a big deal. It's coffee stains on a shirt if it doesn't get clean. And maybe throwing up a coffee cup that doesn't work, a travel cup that doesn't work, or just keeping it for around the house with light liquids, right? Not a big deal. But how many of us take a scenario like that, especially at the beginning of a Monday morning, because for some reason Mondays are different than every other days, and have it spill over into the emotions and the energy of the rest of the day? That is a small story that actually happened this morning, but reflects on boundaries. When we don't put boundaries in our life, we actually fill our lives with things that don't matter to us. And boundaries we're going to talk about are in so many different facets, but essentially what happens with lack of boundaries is you're exhausted. Your energy's off. You snap at people. And you're not exhausted from being tired. You're exhausted from not doing what you love. Think about this. If you're spending all of your time saying yes, when do you have time to say no to do what you love to do? And you might not realize what you love to do, but in most cases, what we do, we spend our days saying yes to everything. Yes, I'll do this. Yes, I'll do that. Yes, I'll participate. Somebody's asked, and we said yes. Okay. Yes, I'll do this. Yes, I'll do that. But does the yes reflect what you want? Does the yes reflect your goals? What if you actually said yes to yourself first? Boundaries make room for blessings. Creating boundaries feels empowering. Every time you use and enforce them, you have a little bit more space and you feel a little bit more like yourself. When you feel like yourself, you have a clearing in the sense of message to the universe that you're ready for more of your path to be unveiled. So when your path is revealed, when you're heading in the right direction, you're given more and more clarity that you're on the right path. I'm not saying the best way to do this is to walk around and say no, but ask yourself, does this activity fit in with who I am or what I'm working towards? So there are some things throughout the day that you need to do, of course. Your day job may or may not fit within your boundaries. I'm thankful that mine does. Actually, I still get to help people live their best lives, and that matters to me. It puts me in a totally different headspace than something else I wouldn't enjoy. I am completely in alignment with helping people live their best lives no matter what I'm doing. That's what I work towards. I know what I'm ultimately working towards. I'm ultimately working towards freedom. so I can enjoy more of the simple things in life, so I can help more people live their best lives and be on the journey to success. I can't do this without boundaries. Boundaries isn't saying yes to everything. It's saying yes to what matters. Most of us, when we get so tired and exhausted, it's not because we've had such a full day. In most cases, yeah, of course, if you've run a marathon or even a 10K, you're going to be tired and exhausted. But for most of us, it's because we're not spending enough time doing what we love, or there isn't enough downtime in between the activities that we're doing. So we're going to talk about boundaries today. And when it comes to boundaries, some of you have heard me share this when I've talked about setting up a successful morning routine or even containers of time. I am going to spend some time circling back to both of those today, as well as how boundaries work with your finances and your relationships, and how boundaries help you grow because they're making room for more. So, for everything, I'm going to rephrase this, for every single thing that we do it because somebody's asked us to do it. Somebody's made an offer to us that was appealing at that time, and we have said yes. We had an opportunity to say no. But for every single thing that we have done, we have said yes. So, boundaries by definition is a line that marks the limits of an area, a dividing line. At what point do you say no when it comes to your life? And are you saying no to the right people? Are you saying no to yourself? I hope not. I hope you say yes to everything that you want. But how can you do that if you don't have any time, energy, if your finances aren't there, right? When it comes to boundaries, you have created them yourself, or lack of created them yourself. And I'll be clear with that. Your life right now, as busy as you are right now, as broke as you are right now, as where you are in a relationship status right now, you have created this. This is everything that you have said yes to up till right now is because you have said yes and you have created it. Did you say yes for the right reasons? Does it fit in alignment with your future growth? Okay, so boundaries make room for your blessings, and where you're at in your life right now is because you've said yes. Which means, what are you resentful for? And you're probably wondering, what does resentment have to do with boundaries? But a resentful person has no boundaries. They are giving so much of their time, energy, and resources away that they are resentful. Underlining, they are very resentful because they don't have time for themselves. Or they're not aware as to that this is not filling their cup. So when it comes to boundaries on the day-to-day life, set yourself time capsules. And I'm not meaning going somewhere at like time capsules, like outer space capsules or anything like that, or a time capsule that you would bury in your backyard. But block containers of time, and you can call them time capsules, or just containers of time to your day. Where if you're working, perhaps you're working 9 to 5, and that container of time goes towards work. But your commute to work, if you commute to work, could be a way that you spend your time differently. It could be a boundary for you. It could be a time that you're listening to your podcast, or you're saying no to phone calls. It could be a time that you are journaling. If you're staying at home, you're journaling for a few minutes before you start your day and setting good intentions. So the container of time before you go on to your next container of time should be used wisely, especially if that next container of time is a bulk of time and it's for somebody else. Of course, working is for you, but essentially you're working for somebody to help them build their dream. And because you're in alignment and you believe in what they're doing. If you're not believing in the work that you're doing, some of the signs are exhaustion. You have no energy to do anything else. You're beat. Now again, you can be beat from a busy day, but more often than not, if you're doing what fills your soul, you're not going to be beat. more often than not, right? The last thing you want is to, when you're with the ones that you care with the most, whether it's yourself or your spouse or your kids or your parents or your best friends, you want to be the best version of yourself. Are you doing that? Or are you exhausted, wanting to sleep, wanting to catch up? So a resentful person has no boundaries. I'm going to say that again. And I've said this a couple times, and you'll hear me say it a couple more times. And that's because they don't know how to say no. Most moms are victims of this. We say yes to our kids, especially if we're a mom from a separated family. I'm not necessarily saying our parents have been separated, but our children have mom and dad that live in two different households and a separate family for the children. That's where most moms and quite a few dads don't say no to their kids. A, they don't have the consistency of the other parent on their team to play good cop, bad cop, right? They're weighing the responsibilities on themselves solely, so not everything's worth the battle. Or they're making up for what inconveniences the child's had by being in a separated family. I'm a victim of this. I've said yes to way too many things to help make up for the shortfalls that they may or may not have had. But they knew I'd say yes. They tag team me. They knew I'd say yes. How many of your kids tag team you? So parents struggle the most when it comes to setting boundaries with their kids. But on the same essence, we struggle when we're in relationships as well, because it's easy to say yes. We want the person to like us and to want us, and we want to be that easygoing, go with the flow kind of person. And whether it's in a romantic relationship or in a partnership or in a friendship, setting those boundaries is super, super, super important. It helps you be aware of time thieves. Time thieves. Remember that coffee that went all over my shirt? Yeah. But boundaries also make room for your blessings. So when we respect boundaries, again, I'm going to highlight exactly what I mean by boundaries. But when we respect boundaries, beginning with containers of time, I'm going to retract that. Beginning with our why in our alignment. Why are we doing the things that we do? What is it that we're working towards? I have my vision boards surrounding me in my office, but depending on where I am, you're either going to see them when we're on a Zoom call, or I'm going to be staring at them all day long. So, because I have one in front of me and two behind me on the walls. And every single thing I do is in alignment with something on that vision board all the time, right? Whether it's a certain style of clothing that I'm wearing, or whether it's my fitness routine, or whether it's just when I'm making choices and conversations in the day-to-day, I am working towards what I'm building for my future. Keep that in mind when you say yes. There's no problem saying yes to a side hustle or saying yes to going away for the weekend. Is it in alignment with what you want to do, or is it adding more stress to you? And it's not just physically and energetically that you're thinking here. Does it fit your budget? Your budget is a boundary. Your budget can be different than everybody else's budget. And it doesn't matter how much you make or how much you don't make. Once you're past the basic survival mode and you know what you need to get by, whatever is extra can go into savings. It can go into building your future. It can go into whatever it looks like, but that's your boundary, right? Your container of time, or your container for your budget, if you want to look at it that way, your capsule for your budget is have your basics covered. Anything over is what you can say yes or no to. And you can add savings to your basics. It doesn't matter what your basics look like. That's customized to you. But look at your budget the same way. Look at your caloric budget the same way. If you're trying to lose weight, respect the fact that there are boundaries surrounding by it. Don't go out every night with your friends and blow both your finances and your caloric budget just because it's easier to say yes than it is to say no. Saying no is simple, but we don't do it. And you can elaborate. You can say, not now, give me a month or two, I'm working on my weight loss, or it doesn't align with my program right now. Say it however you want to deliver the message, but don't be afraid to say no. Again, I'm a victim of that myself, which is why you'll always hear me on here sharing from my experiences and letting you know what works and what doesn't work. But we're not going to be successful if we say yes all the time. First of all, there are time thieves out there. People that don't respect time. And I'm not saying every once in a while there's going to be somebody that flows over time by 5 or 6 minutes here or there, right? Or that don't show up for their appointment and you've got a threshold. You know your boundary is to wait 5, 10 minutes, maybe 15, and then you walk away. You're done. They've wasted your time. Now, where I've shifted huge, and I'd love to encourage you to do this. I have thanked people for the gift of time when there's a no-show. So if there's a no-show, a change of plans, an emergency, and they weren't able to communicate to me sooner, I do a quick little outward blessing where I write it down. Thank you for the gift of time. That has really helped me shift my focus and my mindset, because I don't think they intentionally missed the meeting. I think something happened and they didn't communicate. Perhaps they forgot. Forgetting is not intentionally missing the meeting in my books. It might be in yours, but it's not in mine. The people that don't respect your boundaries, who are thieves of time, are the ones that, you've got a meeting set for 45 minutes and you go to an hour all the time. And you're not the director of the show, they are. So what I mean by that is you're not the one that's just taking it further and further because you know that the conversation needs to happen and they're the one exchanging time with you. But you check in with them. Can we finish this up? I know it's going to take a little bit longer. Versus just carrying it on and on and on out of enthusiasm. Or people who show up consistently late. And then now the whole thing has to be expended and it's affected the day and there's a ripple effect. We don't want that either. So there are time thieves out there, but the only way to control your boundary is to respect your time. You've said yes for a certain period of time. You've said yes to a discovery call. You've said yes to learning more. You've said yes to an interview. You've said yes to go shopping with your friend, but you need to be back by a certain time. There's nothing wrong with that. Those are boundaries, and those boundaries put you in place, and they keep you successful in many, many ways. Many ways, right? You're respecting your time. Maybe I have bad ankles. I went out for the day Saturday and did looking around and I went on a little personal scavenger hunt trying to find the perfect birthday gift. Okay. Now, on a normal day, it's been a very long time, first of all, with my ankles, that I've been out for like 6 hours shopping or looking or browsing. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I realize that. That's probably what I like best about the holiday season, and the reason why I don't buy gift cards is because I love the hunt and talking to people and seeing what I can find where and the search. Like, it's just fun for me, especially when I'm not restricted on time. However, had I went with somebody else and they had to be back by a certain time, I would have respected that, but I probably would have felt rushed. And that's fine. My boundary was to go by myself. And I enjoyed my date time by myself. It's something I don't do very often. It gave me a chance to connect with new people, have new conversations, lose track of time. Now, we did have plans that evening, and I was very thankful that Tony did what needed to be done around the house. I reassured him that we could have pulled it off. For me, that would have been fun to pull it off together last minute. For him, stressful. So to respect each other's boundaries, we just did our own things. He ended up cleaning most of the house. I ended up going out shopping because it was his birthday. But as I said again, boundaries make room for blessings. When you start saying no, you're able to say yes to truly what matters. You're able to free up your time and your commitments. And there's a couple of ways I do this. So as I mentioned earlier, my vision board is my why. It is the reason why I do every single thing that I do. I have a whole word wall of all of the things that keep me motivated for the different aspects of my day, of my life, of why I do what I do. But that's the big picture. The smaller picture is managing the 24 hours that I have, or the 24 hours times 7 that I have, or maybe it's the 24 hours times 5 that I have. Okay? So, how do I do that? I do have containers of time. capsules, time capsules, whatever you want to call them. I call them containers of time for the most part. I do have containers of time. I do have a morning routine. I do have a nighttime routine. I stick with it. It helps me grow. I don't take any calls after 8:30 at night. Sorry, after 9:15 at night. My last appointment's at 8:30. My phone goes away. People cannot reach me after a period of time. That is my boundary to myself. You've all heard me talk about date night. Well, we sit on the couch and watch at least one show together. Most nights it's one show because we are up super early the next day. But that is part of our container of time in our nighttime routine. 9:30. If I'm off the phone by 9:15, by 9:15 to 9:30, we are pretty much settling down, getting ready for bed, having our pajamas on, and getting ready with a tea to sit on the couch to watch a show. I have a 15-minute transition time, which works most days. Every once in a while, I go over because of my choice. As the coach, I am the one choosing to go over, and I can respect that. But I do check in with my clients if we're going over for a reason. But if I'm saying yes to somebody else, I am very respectful to everybody's time. So it's not just time that we're talking about. It's what you do in that time. If managing your finances is super important to you because you want to make a difference in your life and you want to make some changes, but you don't know where you're at, make a container of time twice a week. 45 minutes twice a week to look at your finances. Especially, and I'm going to throw this out there, especially if you own your own business. So I own my own business. I have 2 side hustles, and I also have a job. The job is relatively new. It's been since July. And like I said, it's completely in alignment with what I'm doing. But the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because I'm busy. I'm choosing to be busy. I'm choosing to fill my time with the things I love to do. Of course, every once in a while I sit on the couch. I'm exhausted. It's not, in a case like that, it's not normally from doing the things I don't want to do. It's normally because I'm physically exhausted and I've expelled a lot of energy, but it's truly because I haven't done something to release that energy. Okay? That's where there could be a shift. I should be able to sit down at the couch at 9:30 full of energy. If I've exercised, if I've had fresh air, if I've eaten healthy. That's where boundaries matter. Because you can work all day, which I don't do every day, but you can work all day from getting up early. But if you're not fueling your body properly, if you're not respecting the boundary of what your body needs, if you're not respecting your finances and you're going out to spend money on junk food, of course you're going to be exhausted. On my lunch hour or after work, I could go ahead and do a 5-10 minute workout, bring that energy back up, expel whatever's happened from the day, and use a 20-minute block of time to take care of myself. So I've transitioned from my day to my evening and what that looks like. You never, ever, ever have the opportunity to do that or to even assess that when your boundaries are always yes. When you say yes to everything all the time. Now, I have no problem saying yes to phone calls. I have no problem saying yes to discovery calls. Actually, the more discovery calls I make, the more successful I become, even if I'm saying yes to somebody else's discovery call. Because I'm going in there with an open mind, willing to learn, not willing to make a commitment. And I make that clear. I'm willing to have a discovery call. Being clear about that is my boundary. Going back to the finances. For the first couple of months or the first month or so when I took the job, knowing that I had a regular paycheck come in, I wasn't paying attention to my business finances. It's easy to slip back on things that you don't love to do and you push them aside, but they're important. Can you imagine if I didn't pay attention at all? I've circled back to that, right? Because you know what's missing. And for me, part of my vision is financial abundance. So I need to work on that. It takes work, it takes practice. But it means small, little changes on a regular basis. You can't make those changes, my friends, unless you see where you're at right now. You have to have a budget. Okay? You have to know what's coming in and what's going out. You have to know what your expenses are and what's fixed and what's variable and what can change and what you can get rid of. What if your credit card bill is sitting at 30% interest and you can make one phone call and bring it down? And then for the next 6 months, you work really hard on paying it off. That's progress. Even making that one phone call is progress. even calling in to double check when your bill is due, and then you pay your bill 3 to 5 days earlier online, is progress. Let's take that a step further. What if you took $5 extra a week after you've made your minimum payment or whatever your payment is? Most of us are probably making minimum payments right now if they have credit cards because you spent months not working or in a limited cash flow. So you look at your budget with fresh eyes because it matters to you. But without that boundary in place, without that why in place, you could easily say yes to something else that doesn't fulfill you or it doesn't get you closer and closer to your goals. Why have side hustles if you're not going to manage your money? Why have side hustles if you're not going to make money? If you want to save money, great, but how do you know you're saving if you're not paying attention to that money aspect? So I do have containers of time twice a week for my budget. I think I call it money mindset twice a week. Then I have a container of time for my podcast. And you've heard me say how I've shifted from a Sunday night to a Monday morning. That shift is important to me. It had to work. It was no longer working on a Sunday night as efficiently for me. Okay? I have pockets of containers of time of when I can see my clients and when I can do my coaching calls. I also have to be mindful of the fact that there's marketing and advertising that I want to work on, and there's events and workshops I want to get rolled out. All of these things take containers of time. Not all of these containers of time need the same value. I don't need to do my workshops twice a week to roll them out and to get all the work done behind the scenes. Welcome. Welcome to the party, Gizmo and Hannah, right? Not sure what they're barking at, but I'm only going to keep you for a few more minutes. So I want you to think about your boundaries and your containers of time and how that affects you, because boundaries affect every part of your life. And the more we say yes to everything, the less room we have for what truly matters, unless it's in alignment. And keep that in mind. But even when it's in alignment, we need time to breathe. So boundaries make room for your blessings. When I do my money management twice a week, I still have time to journal. I still have time to have my morning coffee or to go on Facebook if I want. I still have time to even get a morning exercise in or to get some of my health care, taking care of my chiro or my physio, because those are containers of time that I've built in and around. So think about your boundaries. Think about where you're saying yes and how that's affecting you. I have a whole bunch of different suggestions for how you can say no. And things to remember when you're saying no is that you're only saying yes to the stress. By not saying no, you are saying yes to the stress. And when you say no to something, you are making room for your yes. You might not even know what your yes is yet. You just know whether or not this is in alignment with you. Keep in mind that no is a complete sentence. Never apologize after. This gives them space to convince you. And it says to yourself that you should feel bad about your decision. Again, moms and dads, how many times do we say no and then we justify it? Hands up. I'm totally victim of that, okay? Keep your power by saying no, but thank you for thinking of me. And it can be said that kindly. No, thank you for thinking of me. Saying no is a self-love practice, one we don't do enough. Saying no protects you physically and mentally. Saying no will change your energy. It really will. It's hard because we're not grown up, especially as females, we're not taught and we don't grow up to say no. Men as well, respect your elders and, do what you're told and things like that. You change the language to make it fit you. I don't mean do what you're told in a nasty way. But you really, really, really need to practice saying no. Don't say no to me, guys, though, right? I'm here to help you live your best life. So say yes to this. But say no to things that don't serve you. And if you don't know what doesn't serve you, then we should talk. Because I can help you tap into your energy and your emotions. I know just by doing this podcast, I have uplifted myself because I'm doing what's in alignment with me. And not that there was anything wrong with me before, but I feel my energy, because I'm totally doing what I love, my energy shift. And I know you can hear that in the call now that I've mentioned it. But not all good things are good for you. And if it doesn't give you energy or align with your 1 to 5 year vision or your big picture vision, then it's a no. And even though you say yes, it doesn't mean you're going to have success overnight, right? That's a different conversation. We'll come back to that, or I can help you one-on-one with that. I am trying to be mindful of time and keep these podcasts as close to 30 minutes as possible. So I'm not going to keep you. You know that I am here to help support and serve you every step of the way along your wellness journey, whether it's fitness and nutrition, whether it's mindset piece. It all begins with our thoughts, and our actions go from there. FreshApproachFitness.ca is how you can reach me. You can always go to AskSonia.ca. Email me, find me on social media. I'm either at Sonia Janice or at Fresh Approach Fitness. You can find me on all of the platforms. Please, 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 if you like this episode, please subscribe, like, share, comment. The more feedback I get, the more I get recognized. And you all know that my ultimate dream is my cool coffee cup collection, where one day choosing my coffee cup of the day will be the hardest decision I make. And that's how I know I've made it. I'm asking for your support to help get me there. And that means connecting me to people like yourselves, or the right people, because there's always room for me to grow. And I am looking for a sales team. If you are looking for commission sales, that's where we're at right now. We are in growth stage. We are looking for commission-only sales reps anywhere in North America, and I would love to support you and hear from you. So again, reach out at freshapproachfitness.ca. Find me on all of the social media platforms, Sonia Janice or Fresh Approach Fitness. And guys, share this with your friends. There's always some great feedback and great stories in here. I'm going to go check on that white shirt now. It should be almost done. Reheat my coffee and get myself set up for the day. I wish you a fantastic day, my friends. Until next week.